Hey YouTube, what's up? It's your boy Kari here, back again with another video. For all consultation inquiries, hit me up at kari.hq on Instagram. Let's get you right. Go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and let's get into today's topic. So, there's been a lot of recent news coming out regarding visas for Colombians. Yeah. So, I just read a story yesterday and another one today explaining that Colombian citizens or people with Colombian passports will no longer have to submit a visa application to go to the United Kingdom. Okay, so London, those types of places. Now they can go to Europe for the most part through Madrid, Spain, right? Because once you get into the European Union, you don't have to have your passport checked again and again. But the UK is outside of the European Union, so now, just as of yesterday, they announced that citizens with Colombian passports will be able to travel to the United Kingdom without any extra paperwork. So let me go ahead and read you kind of what the news story says, and we can pick out any important details, okay? So I'm on the city paper Bogota.com. This is a news outlet here in Colombia, and they titled this story UK ends tourism visa requirements for Colombians. So it says, in a major diplomatic victory for President Gustavo Petro, 3 months into a new administration, the country's first leftist leader announced the UK will eliminate tourist visa requirements for Colombians as of November 9th, 2022. The announcement was formally made Tuesday during a press conference at the Bogota residence of UK Ambassador George Hodgson. All right. The UK will open up its doors to tourism and other sectors for Colombians, highlighted the ambassador. This is a great step forward in the bilateral relations with UK Coal. So I guess that UK Coal is a handle to represent the partnership between the United Kingdom and Colombia. Okay, the story goes on to say, the lifting of tourist visa requirements for all Colombians puts an end to an expensive process and long wait times for applicants, up to 60 days. In order to get approval through the UK Foreign Office's Centralized Processing Center, VSF Global, the move will also boost the number of Colombian tourists wanting to visit the UK and connect to countries in the Schengen bloc that do not require entry visas for Colombians. The lifting of visa restrictions also facilitates travel for Colombians to the Republic of Ireland. Very cool. So maybe Scotland, Ireland, these other kind of places around England, you won't have to have a visa either if you're Colombian. According to the Migration Colombia, the country's migration entity, between January and September 2022, 45,788 Colombians traveled to the UK, of which 14,000 went as tourists and 24,000 as residents. The end of visas at a cost of $173 US per applicant will also boost the passenger load capacity of the only airlines Avianca operating a direct Bogota to London Heathrow flight, and could signal the return of the country of the UK's flagship carrier, British Airways. Okay, that's pretty cool. So hopefully they'll open up some more flights. Hopefully one for Medellin, because right now you can only go direct to London through Bogota. So it'd be awesome if they open up a direct to Medellin flight off of this news. Okay, let's continue. President Petro broke the news at the end of a bank holiday weekend, stating on Twitter, "I thank the United Kingdom for its decision to eliminate the tourist visa requirements for Colombians." Former President Ivan Duque also welcomed the decision after many months of hard work, adding that his government signed with former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson the post-Brexit free trade agreement. The historic decision to permit Colombians visa-free movement within the United Kingdom came during the same week President Petro's request to the United States government to eliminate tourist requirements for Colombians wanting to travel stateside. The current wait time for first-time applicants for a B1/B2 visa, as well as renewals, is more than 2 years. Once official paperwork has been received by the U.S. Embassy in Bogota, the Colombian government will make the formal request to President Joe Biden through its embassy in Washington, D.C. The UK's decision greatly facilitates travel for the expat community residents in Colombia and Colombian spouses, partners, and children. Should the U.S. follow the momentous UK decision, the only Western countries that will require tourist visas for Colombian is Canada, and government that is grappling with clearing long visa delays for both tourists and students. The standard visa regulations allow Colombians to enter the UK up to 6 months at a time. Even though the new Petro administration will take credit for the end of visa restrictions, the process was initiated during the two-term government of President Juan Manuel Santos, and recipient of the 2016 Nobel Peace Prize for ending more than half-century-long internal conflict with the revolutionary armed forces of Colombian guerrillas. Cool. So there's a lot in this article. I'm going to link the article below so you could give it a read over. And I want to pivot over to this other article that was kind of foreshadowed in what we were just talking about, but this one is from El Tiempo. Yep, so the second article is from El Tiempo, a very popular news source here in Colombia. So the title of this one is Colombia and the United States will begin negotiations on a visa elimination. So kind of what they were talking about in the last article. This one is from today, Wednesday, October 9th. It says, this Friday, October 28th, in Washington, a formal table between Colombia and the United States will start to discuss the possibility of eliminating the tourist and business visa requirements for nationals, as well as other immigration issues. This was confirmed to the newspaper by official sources in both countries. On that day, the binational consultar working group will meet, a mechanism that has been created in 2006 to discuss and advance migration priorities, but that ceased to meet in 2019. Interesting. The meeting will initially be led by Ambassador Luis Gilberto Murillo and foreign ministry personnel, as well as officials from the State Department and the Department of Homeland Security. So they'll all be at this meeting. In principle, Colombia will ask to work with the United States on 5 specific issues: mechanisms to accelerate the issuance of visas at the U.S. Embassy, USA in Bogota, which are taking more than 2 years, advance in Colombia's entry process to the visa waiver program, which eliminates the need for a visa, possible temporary work programs for Colombians in the United States, such as the one that grants temporary protection status, and other regular migration routes. Reiterate the message that the United States uses about Colombia in its call warning to travelers, and the situation of illegals detained at the border and extradited in both countries. That's according to a preparatory document that was known by this newspaper. 2 weeks ago, the Colombian government, led by Ambassador Luis Gilberto Murillo, announced that it will ask the United States to remove the visa and grant a TPS for Colombians who are illegally in this country, among other things. That request coincided with the visit of Secretary of State Anthony Blinken to Bogota, although Blinken made it clear to government officials that the TPS thing was very complicated. If he was open to discussing and moving forward on other issues that were put on the table. Okay, the proposal specifically related to the visa waiver program materialized in a letter sent by Murillo on October 11th to the Secretary of State Blinken and Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas from Department of Homeland Security. In that letter, also known by this newspaper, Murillo tells them that the natural progression of the close relationship between the two countries that the United States considers its main ally in the region, it is the entry into this program that's needed, basically. In that sense, Murillo proposed restarting the negotiations to achieve that goal. In the letter, Murillo recognizes that the country must first meet several requirements, but that Colombia has taken important steps in the control of its borders, that the issuance of passports and the rule of law. The process has begun between 2014 and 2015 under the government of Juan Manuel Santos, but it was interrupted in 2019 when Consultar Working Group stopped meeting. Nobody knows exactly why, but according to sources who worked on this issue during that time, one of the reasons is that the country never reached a visa rejection rate of less than 3%, which is something that is required by the visa waiver program, a mechanism that currently only has 40 countries in the world. In the region, the only one that has this privilege is Chile. That's right, guys. So people that are Chilean and with Chilean passports, they don't need a visa to go to the US. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people think all of South America is banned from the US without a visa, but actually Chilean residents can go to the US without a visa. In addition, the arrival of Donald Trump to power, much harder in the face of immigration issues, complicated the negotiations, and then the COVID-19 pandemic was crossed, which paralyzed this type of approach. Although the current context is different with Joe Biden in the presidency and the pandemic already in the rearview mirror, the process will not be easy and would take several years. First of all, because the country is still very far from that 3% threshold. Likewise, the wave of Colombians who are trying to illegally enter the United States is a problem. The United States across its southern border, and that this year has reached record levels, more than 116,000 on average, about 15,000 per month, makes the decision very difficult to make for an administration like Biden's, which is criticized for the border crisis and the tsunami of migrants that is coming. So they're saying because there's so many immigrants coming, it kind of makes it hard for our government, United States government, to change that rule out of fear that it could, I don't know, open up way too many people coming, perhaps. Okay, so let's continue. But according to multiple sources, the idea is to move forward with the requirements requested by the United States. In the United States, so that when political and field circumstances change, Colombia is ready to access the visa waiver program. In short term, the government's idea is to pressure Washington to help reduce waiting times for issuing visas at its embassy in Bogota, a procedure that is currently taking more than 2 years. One of the ideas that is being aired is that tourism visas and others that are currently enforced but also about to expire are automatically renewed for a period of 2 years. Okay, a strategy that would serve to temporarily solve the bottleneck that is being presented. All right, so that's the end of the article, guys. A lot of interesting things there. They talked about possibly changing the rule so that the Colombian visas to enter the United States auto-renew, just to unclog the bottleneck that they're having. They talked about increasing the capacity at the U.S. Embassy here in Bogota so that they can at least issue more visas if they don't eliminate that law. Yeah, the visa waiver program, guys, is basically a few countries, to my understanding, powerful countries that waive visas. So Colombia is trying to get into that group of exclusive countries. So lots of interesting news coming out of Colombia right now. It would be very, very interesting to see if Colombia can actually get into that visa waiver program with the United States, because I know a lot of Colombians that just want to go to the United States and check it out, and they're already doing 2-year processes just to do it the right way. So if they just needed to get their passport, then man, I think that Colombians would be going to America in flocks, which honestly is probably a good thing, just so they are able to discover our country, United States, just as we are able to discover their country. So I'm not against this. I think it'll be cool to have Colombians be able to go to the United States. And it would even be cool too, because like I have a lot of friends here that really, their dream is to go. I would love to take them, show them my country. So that would be awesome. Do I think this is gonna happen on the US side? Look, it's already happened on the UK side. I don't think it's gonna happen very, very soon on the United States side of things. But I think their window is with Joe Biden. So as long as Joe Biden is in office, I think they have a very good chance of getting this passed and this changed. If we go back to a Republican president or something like that, or maybe a more conservative Democrat, then I think the window might close on this opportunity. So I think, kudos to the Colombian government. Kudos to Gustavo Petro for getting this done, at least for the UK, and really getting the conversation started for the US. I think that's a big accomplishment for Colombia. And it shows that this administration is out there making a change. There was a lot of controversy during the election. A lot of people did not want this guy in office, Petro that is, and a lot of people did. So at least we could see that there are things being done. Although they did say, it's funny, in Colombia, they credited the president before the last president for starting this in 2016 or something. But it's getting done now, and it seems like, I don't know why they're crediting the president from two terms before on something that this administration is doing. It's kind of weird, but whatever. I guess that's Colombian politics. You guys let me know your opinion. Let me know what you think about this. All my US viewers out there, do you think that we should open up our visa waiver program to Colombia to allow them to enter? And to all my viewers from the UK, how do you feel about Colombians being able to enter the UK as of November 9th? Yeah, I think it's a very cool topic. Thank you guys for tuning in to the channel. Like, comment, subscribe. You better like my shit. And follow me on Instagram at kari.hq. If you need any advice, consultations having to do with Medellin or anywhere in Colombia, hit me up. Let's lock in, people. With that, I'm out. Y'all have a good day.